The wedding hall was silent. Not the peaceful kind, the kind that feels like something terrible is about to happen. The priest had just asked, if anyone has a reason this marriage should not continue, and Zara was standing at the back, shaking. Her chest felt tight, not because she was confused, but because she finally understood something she had been denying for months. The man standing at the altar, smiling, confident, dressed in white, was the same man who once knelt in her tiny apartment and promised her forever. And the woman in the wedding gown walking toward him, her younger sister, Nina. Zara hadn't even known they were dating. She hadn't been told, not by him, not by her, not by her parents. And when Nina turned around and their eyes met, she didn't look surprised, she didn't look guilty, she looked prepared. Like she had rehearsed this moment in her mind, like she had imagined Zara standing there, like this pain was part of the plan. Zara's throat tightened. She opened her mouth to speak, but then something happened that froze her completely. Daniel didn't look shocked to see her. He looked relieved. And that was when she realized something darker. This wedding wasn't just a betrayal, it was a performance, and she was the final audience member. But to understand how she ended up watching her own future being stolen, you have to understand the kind of woman Zara was. Zara had always been the dependable one, the first daughter, the emotional backbone. When her father's logistics business collapsed under debt, she was the one who dropped her postgraduate scholarship. When Nana needed school fees, Zara paid. When her mother developed hypertension from stress, Zara covered hospital bills quietly. No one forced her. She just did it, because that's what good daughters do. But being strong is addictive. People start depending on it, and eventually, they stop asking if you are tired. Zara was 33, unmarried, financially stable, emotionally exhausted. The whisper started when she turned 30. You are too selective. Men don't like strong women. Don't intimidate them. Even her mother once said softly, you need to soften yourself if you want a husband. So, when Daniel walked into her life, he felt like an answer to a prayer she never admitted she was praying. He was charming, calm, established, and most importantly, he made her feel chosen. That was the beginning of the mistake, because Zara didn't realize something crucial. Some men don't choose you because they love you. They choose you because you make them look good. And Daniel loved admiration, but that realization would come later, much later. They met at a mutual friend's birthday dinner. He sat across from her, watched her speak, noticed how everyone respected her opinions. He leaned closer halfway through the night. You are different, he said quietly. She smiled politely. I hear that a lot. No, he said, you carry responsibility like armor. The way he said it made her feel understood, like someone finally saw the weight she carried. By the end of the week, he was calling daily. By the second week, he was sending flowers to her office. By the third week, he had transferred money into her account when he heard her complain about a delayed client payment. I don't like seeing you stressed, he said. It felt thoughtful, it felt protective, it felt safe. But safety built too quickly often hides something unstable underneath. And there were signs, small ones. He avoided pictures. He never introduced him to his extended circle. He stepped outside for certain calls. Once, he saw a contact saved as just one letter, N. He quickly locked his phone. Business, he said casually. And she believed him, because believing felt easier than doubting, and doubt feels ungrateful when someone is paying your bills. Meanwhile, Nina was changing. New clothes, expensive perfume, sudden late-night outings. When Zara asked where the money was coming from, Nina smiled. Freelance gigs. Zara didn't question it. Why would she? She trusted her sister. She raised her. She protected her. She never imagined she needed to protect herself from her. But jealousy doesn't always look like hatred. Sometimes it looks like admiration that turned sore. And Nina had spent years watching Zara, watching her praised, watching her relied upon, watching her chosen first for responsibilities, and somewhere deep inside, she wanted something that was Zara's, just once. The first crack appeared one night. Zara borrowed Nina's laptop to send an urgent work file. A message notification popped up. I miss you already. She has no idea. Her stomach tightened. She didn't want to open it, but she did. The sender's name, Daniel. Her fingers went numb, and just as she was trying to breathe, Nina walked into the room. Their eyes met. For 1 second, Nina froze. Then she relaxed too quickly. It's not what you think, she said calmly. Calmly? That scared her more than if she had panicked. Daniel later explained it away. She asked for investment advice. She's young. She looks up to me. She was joking. He said everything perfectly, almost rehearsed, and Zara let it go because confronting it meant risking losing him. And at 33, after years of pressure, losing him felt like losing her last chance. That was her second mistake. The first was trusting too easily. The second was staying silent. But the third mistake, that would break her completely. 2 months later, Daniel stopped discussing marriage. He said things like, let's not rush destiny. But destiny had already been rushed, just not with her. One evening, Zara came home early. The house was quiet, too quiet. Then she heard laughter from Nina's room, a man's laughter, familiar. Her chest tightened. She walked slowly, pushed the door open, and the world shifted. Daniel was sitting on Nina's bed, not standing, not living, sitting, comfortable, close, too close. Nina's hand rested on his thigh, not accidentally, intentionally. Time froze. Her ears rang. Her body felt hollow. Daniel stood quickly. This isn't... Don't, she whispered, because explanations at that point were insults. But what shattered her wasn't Daniel's presence. It was Nina's face. There was no guilt, only something colder, something victorious. You had him first, Nina said quietly, and you still couldn't keep him. The cruelty wasn't loud. It was precise, like she had been waiting to say it. And that was when Zara realized this wasn't sudden. It had been building, quietly, strategically, and she was the only one unaware. But the worst part, that wasn't even the real betrayal. Because the real betrayal was sitting in her parents' living room, waiting. Zara had always been the dependable one, the first daughter, the fixer, the quiet backbone of a family that was slowly cracking under pressure. At 32, she carried responsibility like it was stitched into her skin. She worked long hours at a logistics firm during the day. At night, she managed a small online fabric business from her bedroom. She barely slept, but she never complained, because when her father's electronics store began to struggle, Zara stepped in without being asked. She increased her contribution to the house, paid Nana's final year tuition, handled hospital bills when her mother's blood pressure worsened. If something was breaking, Zara patched it. If something was missing, Zara provided it. But what she didn't know was that some cracks were already too deep and some problems were deliberately hidden from her. Because while Zara believed the family was simply managing, her father had quietly borrowed money, large sums, from men who did not operate through banks, men who did not send reminders, men who visited in person, and no one told Zara, not because they didn't trust her strength, but because they feared her reaction. Zara had pride, and pride does not bend easily. That silence would later cost them everything. Zara's personal life was another quiet ache. She was successful, independent, respected at work, but unmarried, and in her community, that detail carried weight. At church, the married women spoke gently but pointedly. Don't worry, your time will come. relatives asked during every holiday gathering, still focusing on career? Every comment chipped at her confidence, not because she lacked options, but because nothing had ever lasted. Men often admired her strength, but few stayed. Some said she was too serious, others said she intimidated them. Over time, Zara began to wonder if independence had become her curse. She didn't admit it, but loneliness grew louder at night, and that was when Daniel entered her life. They met at a mutual friend's engagement party. Zara hadn't wanted to attend. She was tired, emotionally exhausted, but she went anyway. Daniel noticed her before she noticed him. He approached gently, spoke calmly, listened fully. He didn't interrupt, didn't try too hard. He asked about her business, her ambitions, her family. And when she jokingly said, "I think men are scared of women who don't need them," he smiled slowly and replied, "Maybe you just haven't met one secure enough." That sentence stayed with her, because for once, her strength wasn't criticized, it was admired. Daniel began calling the next day. Morning greetings, evening check-ins. He remembered details, her favorite tea, her stressful Tuesdays, her mother's medication schedule. Within 2 weeks, he had sent groceries just to make life easier. Zara resisted at first, but he insisted. "I like taking care of my woman." Those words softened something inside her. For years, she had been the one taking care of everyone else. Now, someone wanted to take care of her. It felt safe, but safety can be an illusion. Daniel integrated into her family quickly, too quickly. He visited often, spoke respectfully to her parents, even offered business advice to her father. And that was when something subtle happened. Daniel began asking questions, specific ones, about the shop's inventory, about supplier delays, about financial strain. Her father laughed it off. Business has ups and downs. Daniel nodded thoughtfully, but his eyes lingered, observing, calculating. Zara didn't notice. She was too busy feeling loved. Meanwhile, Nana began acting differently. New clothes, expensive handbags, frequent outings. When Zara asked about the sudden change, Nana shrugged. Side hustle. Zara wanted to believe her. So she did. Because suspicion requires energy. And Zara was tired. But there were moments. Small, uncomfortable ones. Late-night whispers from Nana's room. Phone calls that stopped when Zara entered. Daniel occasionally stepping outside to answer calls. Once, Zara saw Nana glance at Daniel across the dining table. A look that lasted a second too long. Zara brushed it away. Because she trusted them both. And because the alternative was unbearable. Months into the relationship, Daniel began discussing marriage. Not directly, but suggestively. "We're not getting younger. I see you as my future. I want stability." Zara felt hope bloom again. Maybe this was it. Maybe all the waiting had meaning. But behind her back, another conversation had already started. Daniel had asked Nana to meet him privately, under the pretense of planning a surprise proposal for Zara. Nana agreed, excited, curious. That meeting changed everything. Because Daniel didn't talk about romance. He talked about debt. Their father's secret loans, the unpaid interest, the men who had started showing up twice a week at the shop. Nana was present one afternoon when 2 strangers came asking for repayment.
Their tone wasn't friendly. Daniel claimed he knew the lenders, claimed he could make the problem disappear. But nothing comes free. He told Nana he could settle all debt, clear their father's name, protect the family, if she agreed to marry him instead, quietly, without drama, without telling Zara until everything was finalized. He said Zara was too proud to accept that kind of help. He said Daniel would reject him if she knew the truth. And Nana, for the first time in her life, felt chosen first. She had always lived in the shadow of Zara, the achiever, the responsible one, the admired one. Now, someone powerful was choosing her, offering her control, security, importance. Daniel didn't seduce her emotionally first. He positioned himself as their family's savior. And saviors are hard to resist, especially when you feel small, especially when you want to matter. Nana didn't say yes immediately, but she didn't say no either. And that hesitation was enough for Daniel to begin rearranging all our lives. Back in Zara's world, everything felt normal, romantic, promising. She had no idea she was standing in the center of a plan she didn't design, because Daniel had already decided something. If Zara would not bend, he would go around her. And that was only the beginning.
At first, nothing exploded. That's what made it dangerous. Daniel didn't suddenly become distant. He became better, more attentive, more generous, more intentional. Almost as if he was compensating for something. Zara noticed it, but misread it. She thought it meant commitment. She didn't know it meant guilt. One evening, Daniel arrived with an envelope. He handed it to Zara's father. "I handled part of the supplier issue," he said calmly. Zara frowned. "What supplier issue?" Her father hesitated. "Too long. Small misunderstanding," he replied. Daniel stepped in smoothly. "It's nothing, Zara. Business tension. I just stepped in before it escalated." Zara's stomach tightened. Escalated? What did that mean? But her father quickly changed the topic. Her mother smiled nervously, and Nana avoided eye contact. That night, Zara lay awake. For the first time, she felt something deeper than suspicion. She felt excluded, like everyone knew something she didn't, and that feeling grew. A week later, Zara stopped by her father's shop unexpectedly. She had finished work early and wanted to surprise him with lunch. But when she arrived, she saw two unfamiliar men standing outside. They weren't customers. They weren't friendly. They were waiting. One of them was speaking sharply. Her father looked small, smaller than she had ever seen him. Zara slowed her steps. She heard one sentence clearly. "Next week, no excuses." Her father noticed her. His expression changed instantly. First smile. "They're just distributors," he said too quickly. The men left without acknowledging her. Zara's chest tightened. She didn't confront him. Not yet. But when she got home, she called Daniel. "I saw something strange at the shop today." There was a pause on the other end, short but noticeable. "What did you see?" Daniel asked carefully. She explained. Daniel sighed. "I was trying to handle that quietly." "What handle?" Zara asked. "I didn't want to stress you," he replied smoothly. "Your father asked me not to tell you." Her heart dropped. Why would her father confide in Daniel?
and not her? That question planted something sharp inside her, and it wouldn't go away. Meanwhile, Nana's transformation became more obvious. New phone, new perfume, weekend trips she never used to take. Zara tried to ask gently, "Are you okay?" Nana smiled. "I am better than okay." There was something almost triumphant in her tone, and it unsettled Zara because Nana didn't look like someone under financial stress. She looked like someone who had secured something or someone. Then came the night everything shifted. Zara woke up around 1:17 a.m. The house was quiet, too quiet. She heard movement in the living room, soft whispering. She stepped out of her room slowly and froze. Nana stood near the window, phone pressed to her ear, laughing softly, and the voice on the other end Zara would recognize anywhere. Daniel. Her pulse roared in her ears. "She still doesn't know," Nana whispered. Silence. Then Daniel's voice, low, amused. "She doesn't need to." Zara felt something cold slide down her spine. She didn't storm in. She didn't scream. She went back to her room, sat on her bed, and stared at the wall. Because denial is powerful, and she needed to be sure. The next morning, she behaved normally. She smiled at Nana, texted Daniel, went to work, but something inside her had shifted. She began paying attention, really paying attention. 3 days later, confirmation arrived, by accident. Zara borrowed Nana's laptop to send a work file. While typing, a notification popped up in the corner. Daniel, heart. The preview message read, "Once this wedding is done, everything will settle." Wedding? Her breath stopped. She clicked the message before she could stop herself. The thread opened. Months of conversations, plans, money transfers, screenshots of debt statements, and one sentence that shattered her completely. "After I marry you, your family will never struggle again." Marry you, not Zara, Nana. The room felt like it was spinning. The betrayal wasn't emotional anymore. It was calculated, strategic, planned. And the worst part, it wasn't recent. It started before Daniel ever told Zara he loved her. She scrolled further. One message from Nana stood out. "What about my sister?" Daniel's reply came seconds later. "She will understand eventually." That was the moment Zara realized something terrifying. She wasn't the center of Daniel's plan. She was the cover, the respectable entry point into the family, the bridge to access their financial crisis, the one he dated publicly while negotiating privately. And suddenly, every act of generosity made sense. He wasn't helping out of love. He was buying leverage. Zara's hands trembled, but she didn't cry, not yet, because something inside her hardened instead, and she made a decision. She would not confront them immediately. She would wait, she would watch, and she would let them think she still knew nothing, because sometimes silence is not weakness, it is strategy. And what she would uncover next would make the wedding betrayal look small.
It wasn't even that Nana accepted. It was this. They had all moved forward like she was a closed chapter, like her heart had already healed, like she didn't exist in the story anymore. The invitation. 2 weeks later, Nana came to her room, wedding card in hand, white envelope, gold print. "I didn't want you to hear it from someone else," Nana said. Zara stared at the envelope, but didn't take it. "You are inviting me? You are my sister." Zara finally collected the card, opened it, read Daniel's name beside Nana's. Her chest tightened, but her face didn't change. "I'll be there," she said. Nana almost looked disappointed. She had prepared for tears, for shouting, for chaos. Instead, she got composure, and composure is terrifying. The wedding day. The church was full. Family friends, church members, whispers floating through the pews. "That's the ex. Is she really attending? She's strong, oh." Zara walked in alone, head high, dressed beautifully. Not flashy, not mourning, controlled. People stared. She sat in the third row, not too close, not too far. Daniel noticed her first. His jaw tightened. Nana followed his gaze. Their eyes met across the aisle. For a brief second, something flickered in Nana's expression. Guilt? Fear? Victory? It was hard to tell. The conversation before the stay. Just before the ceremony began, Nana stepped away from the bridal room and walked towards Zara. Guests pretended not to watch, but everyone watched. Nana stood in front of her. "You came." Zara's voice was calm. "You invited me." Silence stretched between them. Then Nana said something she shouldn't have. "I didn't steal him, you know." Zara didn't react. Nana continued, lowering her voice. "He chose me. Still nothing. And you let him go." That sentence, that one sentence, it wasn't cruel in tone, but it was cruel in truth. Zara slowly stood up, looked at Nana fully, studied her face, the makeup, the veil, the smile that didn't quite reach her eyes, and suddenly, she didn't see her sister. She saw someone calculating, someone who justified everything, someone who believed winning meant deserving. That's when the narration hits. Zara stared at Nana like she was looking at a stranger wearing her sister's face, because the girl who shared clothes with her would never say something like that. Final moment before the chaos. Zara leaned slightly closer and whispered, "You think this is about him?" Nana frowned. "Then what is it about?" Zara's expression didn't change. "You will understand soon." Then she sat back down, and the ceremony began. 3 months after the marriage, the house felt different. Quieter, not peaceful, just tense. Nana and Daniel had moved into a small apartment near the family shop, but Nana still came home often, too often. Zara had buried herself in work, long hours, late returns, minimal conversation. She didn't ask about the marriage, she didn't ask about Daniel, and that made everyone uncomfortable. Because anger can be managed, silence cannot. That evening, Zara returned from work exhausted. Her heels clicked against the pavement as she approached her father's shop. The sun was setting, shadows stretching long across the street. And that's when she noticed them. 2 men standing outside the shop. Not customers, not regular faces. They weren't browsing, they weren't buying. They were watching. One leaned against the wall, chewing something slowly. The other kept checking his phone, glancing at the entrance. Zara slowed her steps. Their eyes briefly met hers. They didn't smile. They didn't look away either. She felt something cold slide down her spine. Inside the shop, her father looked unsettled, counting money twice, sweating more than usual. Zara placed her bag down. "Daddy," she said casually, "who are those men outside?" Her father didn't answer immediately, just adjusted his glasses. "Customers." Zara turned slightly towards the entrance. "They've been standing there for 15 minutes. Silence. Before her father could respond, Nana walked in from the back. "Oh, them," Nana said quickly. "They are friends of Daniel." Too quickly. Zara looked at her. "Friends?" "Yes, business friends." Zara tilted her head slightly.
Since when does Daniel do business with men who look like they collect debts instead of investments? Nana laughed. Too loud. You judge people too quickly. Zara didn't smile. She stepped closer to the counter. Which business? Another pause. Expansion, Nana replied. Daniel is thinking of expanding. Expanding what? Nana hesitated, then shrugged. You know men, they don't tell us everything. That sentence, that dismissal, it didn't sit right. Zara walked back toward the door slowly, pretending to adjust her shoe. She glanced outside again. One of the men was now speaking on the phone. His tone was low, serious. The other tapped the shop signboard with his knuckles, testing it. Zara's jaw tightened. She turned back to Nana. Do they know our family lives here? Nana's smile faded slightly. Why are you asking like that? Just curious. Nana folded her arms. You don't have to be suspicious of everything. Suspicious? Interesting word. That night, Zara couldn't sleep. From her bedroom window, she saw headlights flash briefly near the shop before disappearing. The next morning, her father avoided eye contact. Daniel didn't come around that week. And the two men? They returned. Twice. Always watching. Always waiting. 3 days later, Zara confronted Nana again. They were alone in the kitchen. No games, Zara said calmly. Who are they? Nana slammed the cupboard shut. I told you, they are Daniel's associates. What kind of associates stand outside like threats? Nana's eyes flickered, just for a second. Fear. But she masked it quickly. You are overthinking. Zara stepped closer. Am I? Silence. Then Nana said something that shifted the air completely. You don't understand the kind of men Daniel deals with now.
Zara stared at Nana like she was looking at a stranger wearing her sister's face. What men? She whispered again. Nana hesitated. Then she said the name, and everything changed. They call him Chief Bako. The air shifted. Even saying his name felt illegal. Zara's chest tightened. She had heard that name before, in whispers at the market, in quiet warnings from customers, in the way their father once froze when his phone rang late at night. Chief Bako wasn't just a lender. He was a man who collected, with interest, with humiliation, with fear. And Daniel? Daniel did business in the same circles. Zara's thoughts collided violently. So Daniel knew? Nana nodded slowly. He knew before you did. That hurt worse than the wedding. Because betrayal from love is painful. But betrayal wrapped in secrecy? That's destruction. Months before the wedding, Daniel had called Nana one evening. He sounded serious, controlled, urgent. I need to talk to you about Zara, he had said. Nana thought he was planning a proposal. Instead, he laid everything out. Your father owes money, serious money, the kind that doesn't wait, the kind that sends men. Nana didn't believe him at first, until Daniel showed her the documents, signed papers, interest calculations, deadlines, and one red stamped notice, final warning. Zara felt dizzy listening to this. You're lying, she said weakly. I wish I was, Nana replied. Their father had borrowed to save the business after a failed shipment, then borrowed again to repay the first loan, and then again. Compound interest had done what it always does. It multiplied the problem. And Daniel? Daniel offered a solution. The deal. I can clear the debt, Daniel had told Nana that night. In exchange for what, she had asked. He didn't answer immediately. He just looked at her, long, intent, calculated. I want to marry into the family. Nana didn't understand at first. Marry Zara? She asked. Daniel didn't blink. No. That was the moment the line was crossed. He said he had always admired Nana, that Zara was strong, yes, but hard, proud, too independent. Nana was softer, easier to mold. He said marrying Nana would give him control of the shop legally. He could restructure the debt, push Chief Bako out, protect the family name. All they had to do was keep Zara in the dark. Back to present. Zara stepped backward like the ground had betrayed her too. You chose him, she said quietly. Nana's eyes filled with tears. I chose survival. Zara laughed. It wasn't happy. It wasn't sane. You married my fiancé. To save us, you humiliated me in front of everyone. To protect you, you let me plan that wedding. I had no choice. The argument exploded in the quiet street. People stared, cars slowed, but neither sister cared. Because this wasn't just about Daniel anymore. This was about trust. And the truth was uglier than betrayal. Nana grabbed Zara's arm. If you had known about the debt, you would have confronted Daddy. Yes! And that would have pushed him into a heart attack. That shut Zara up, because it was true. She would have fought, and their father's pride, it would have shattered. But why didn't you tell me after? Zara asked. Why let me believe you stole him? Nana's voice broke. Because if you hated me, you wouldn't go looking for answers. Zara felt something shift. Daniel warned me, Nana continued. He said if you start digging, Chief Bako would know. And once he knows, there's no negotiation. Zara's breathing slowed. This was bigger than jealousy, bigger than romance. This was strategy, manipulation, control. And Daniel was at the center. Suddenly, Zara remembered something. The night before the wedding, Daniel had been distant, cold, on edge, not nervous about marriage, nervous about timing. Did Daniel clear the debt? Zara asked quietly. Nana hesitated. That's the problem. Zara's stomach dropped. He cleared half. Half, which meant Chief Bako still had leverage, which meant the marriage wasn't protection, it was collateral. Nana's marriage wasn't love, it was insurance. And Zara was simply being removed from the equation. Does Daddy know? Zara asked. No. Of course he didn't. Their father believed Daniel had chosen Nana out of love. He believed Zara had simply been unlucky. The humiliation had been painted as fate. But this was calculated. Zara straightened up. For the first time since the wedding, her tears stopped. You made a mistake, she said calmly. Nana looked confused. Daniel thinks I'm emotional, Zara continued. He thinks I'm broken. He thinks I'll walk away. A slow, dangerous smile formed on her face. He doesn't know I'm the only one in this family who actually understands business. Nana swallowed. What are you saying? I'm saying, Zara replied softly, if Daniel wants control, he just started a war. The next morning, Zara walked into the family shop. Employees went silent. Whispers followed her. The jilted bride, the replaced sister, the humiliation. She ignored them all. She walked straight to the office, locked the door, opened the files, and began to read. If Daniel thought he could manipulate from the shadows, he underestimated one thing. Zara never reacts, she calculates.
And the numbers didn't lie. Transactions Daniel had assisted with, unusual restructuring, new clauses inserted into supplier contracts. He wasn't just helping, he was positioning. Zara leaned back in the chair slowly. "Okay, Daniel," she murmured. "Let's see how smart you really are." That evening, Daniel showed up at the shop unexpectedly. He didn't expect to see Zara behind the desk. Their eyes locked. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Daniel smiled. That smooth, charming, dangerous smile. "Zara," he said calmly, "you look better." She didn't smile back. "I know about the debt." Daniel's expression didn't change. "I assumed you would eventually. And I know about the deal." A pause. Still no panic.
But not afraid. That detail sat wrong with Sarah. Men who fear Chief Bako don't maintain eye contact. They don't lean casually on desks. They don't control the room with their tone. They tremble. Daniel wasn't trembling. He was calculating. "Why would he come himself?" Sarah asked slowly. Daniel adjusted his cufflinks. "He wants reassurance." "Or control," she countered. A small smile touched his lips. "You're sharper than Nana." That wasn't a compliment. It was confirmation. And in that moment, Sarah realized something chilling. Daniel wasn't reacting to Chief Bako. He was anticipating him, like someone who knew the script. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. Her mind replayed every detail Nana had told her. Half the debt paid, half remaining. Chief Bako still holding leverage. But something didn't add up. If Daniel truly wanted control, why not clear everything? Why keep danger alive? Unless the danger was useful. The next morning, Chief Bako arrived. Black SUV, tinted windows. 2 men stepped out first, then him. Heavy gold ring, measured steps, predator energy. He walked into the shop like he owned it, because technically, he did. Sarah watched from the office window. Daniel walked out to greet him, not nervously, not submissively, but confidently, too confidently. They shook hands, not like debtor and collector, but partners. Sarah's stomach dropped. Inside the office, Nana clutched her hands together. "I'm scared," she whispered. Sarah didn't answer, because she wasn't scared anymore. She was thinking. Daniel had told Nana that Chief Bako was pressuring him, that payment deadlines were closing in. But if that were true, why did Chief Bako look relaxed? Why did Daniel look in control? And why did they both laugh? Sarah made a decision. She walked out. Every eye followed her. The jilted bride, the embarrassed sister. But this time, she wasn't the victim. She stopped in front of Chief Bako. He looked at her slowly. "You must be the other daughter." Other, like an accessory. "Yes," Sarah replied calmly. "And you must be the man who enjoys pretending." Silence fell like a bomb. Daniel stiffened. Chief Bako's smile faded slightly. "Pretending?" he asked. Sarah turned to Daniel. "You told Nana you paid half." Daniel didn't speak. She faced Chief Bako again. How much of the debt actually exists? The room froze. And for the first time, Chief Bako hesitated. That hesitation was everything. Because powerful men don't pause unless they've been exposed. Sarah stepped closer. "My father did borrow money, that's true. But the interest calculations," she held up a file. "I checked them." Silence. "You inflated them." Murmurs spread among the workers. Daniel's jaw tightened. Chief Bako laughed slowly. "Careful, young lady." Sarah's voice stayed steady. "You extended the repayment schedule without notifying the original signatory. That voids the amended contract." Daniel's eyes snapped to her. He hadn't expected that. Chief Bako's expression darkened. "You've been reading things that don't concern you." "Oh, they concern me now," Sarah replied. Then she turned to Daniel. "You needed partial payment on record to look like a hero.
and you needed the remaining debt to keep us afraid. The truth began forming like smoke in the room. Daniel didn't save them. He structured the fear. Nana looked between them in confusion. What is she saying? Zara didn't break eye contact with Daniel. I'm saying, she continued softly, that Daniel and Chief Bako aren't enemies. They are partners. Silence. Deadly silence. Daniel's calm mask finally cracked. Be careful, he warned. Or what? Zara asked. Chief Bako's voice dropped low. You think you understand business? Zara's answer was colder than both of them. I understand manipulation. She flipped open the file again. These loan extensions, they were approved after Daniel joined our supplier negotiations. She looked at the workers. He increased supply volume on credit under our father's name. Nana gasped. Daniel tried to interrupt, but Zara didn't stop. He created artificial debt, then offers himself as the solution. Chief Bako stepped forward. You are making dangerous accusations. Zara met his stare. No, I'm exposing a strategy. Then she said the line that changed everything. You didn't come to collect today. She turned to Daniel. You came to intimidate me. Nana stepped back slowly. Daniel, tell me she's lying. Daniel didn't answer immediately, because the problem with clever men is that when their plan unravels, they have to choose a new one, and sometimes that new plan is ruthless. Daniel exhaled slowly. Then he smiled. Not the charming smile, the honest one, the dangerous one. You were never supposed to look that deep, Zara. There it was, confirmation. Nana's knees nearly gave out. You said you were saving us, she whispered. Daniel looked at her calmly. I was saving the business, at a cost. Chief Bako laughed darkly. Emotions always ruin deals. Zara stepped closer to Daniel. So this was the plan? Create dependency? Marry into control? Own the shop legally? Daniel's eyes hardened. In this city, Zara, he said, you either control assets or you become an asset. That sentence hit Nana like a slap, because suddenly she understood. She wasn't a wife, she was a contract. Zara's voice dropped. You underestimated one thing. Daniel tilted his head. And what is that? She held up another document. I already sent copies of these to a lawyer this morning. Chief Bako's expression changed, not dramatically, but enough. Zara continued. If the court audits these amendments, they'll see fraudulent restructuring and coercion. Daniel stepped toward her slowly. You think the legal system scares us? Zara's eyes were steady. No, but exposure does. And that was the moment the power dynamic shifted, because men like Daniel operate in silence, in shadow, in quiet deals. Public scandal? That's risk. Nana finally found her voice. Was any of it real? She asked Daniel. He didn't answer immediately, which was answer enough. Zara watched her sister's heartbreak in real time, not because Daniel stole him, but because he never belonged to her. Chief Bako adjusted his ring. This conversation is over. He turned to leave, but Zara said one last thing. If you walk away now, the audit goes forward. He stopped, slowly, and for the first time, he looked at Daniel, not as a partner, but as a liability. Because Daniel's plan depended on Zara staying quiet, and she wasn't. Daniel realized it too, and something dangerous flickered in his eyes. Because cornered men don't always surrender. Sometimes they escalate. Zara felt it, the shift, the tension, the threat in the air. Daniel stepped closer, lowered his voice so only she could hear. You just started something you can't finish. Zara didn't step back. Try me. And that's when Daniel said something unexpected. Your father knew. Everything stopped. Zara blinked. Her heart skipped. What? She whispered, unable to breathe fully. He signed the amended terms willingly, Daniel continued. He knew the partial debt payments, the arrangements, all of it. He just hoped you'd never find out. Nana gasped. He let all of this happen? Zara's mind spun, betrayal upon betrayal. Her father had kept the secret to protect them. But what protection causes heartbreak, humiliation, and nearly ruins a family? Her hands trembled slightly,
but her voice was steady. So it wasn't just Daniel. This entire charade was allowed. You enabled him. Daniel smiled faintly. I didn't enable him. I just played the hand I was dealt. You always underestimate people who think they are in control. Sarah's chest tightened. She felt the full weight of what had happened. The wedding, the lies, the deception, the half-truths. And yet, she realized something. She still had power. That evening, Sarah walked into the shop facing her father and Nana together. I understand now, she said quietly, her voice calm but cutting through the tension like a blade. Daniel was never the villain, not entirely. The real danger was secrecy, fear, and the belief that controlling others was protection. Her father lowered his eyes. Nana's shoulders slumped. I will fix this, she continued, not with anger, not with revenge, but with truth. She opened the folder she had prepared, all the documents, emails, proof of Daniel's manipulations and Chief Bako's involvement. This goes to the authorities, the contracts, the debts, everything. No one manipulates us in the dark again. Daniel, who had followed her into the office expecting confrontation, watched her carefully. He realized the dynamic had shifted. Sarah wasn't angry. She wasn't desperate. She was untouchable. Daniel left the next day, officially cutting ties. Nana's engagement was quietly annulled. The family paid off the remaining debts legitimately, without leverage or fear. Chief Bako backed off, realizing his manipulations no longer held power over Sarah's family. Nana came to Sarah one afternoon, sitting across from her at the kitchen table. I understand, she said softly. I never wanted to hurt you. Sarah studied her sister. I know, she replied. But remember this. Love stolen by manipulation is never real love.
And trust broken by fear is only earned back slowly. Nana nodded, tears in her eyes. I'll never forget that lesson. Months later, Zara stood in the office of the family shop, reviewing the new contracts, the new suppliers, the legitimate payments. For the first time, she felt in control, not just of the business, but of her life. She thought of Daniel, of the wedding, of Nana, and even of her father's mistakes, and she realized something profound. Sometimes the real villain isn't the person who betrays you. It's fear, silence, secrets. And sometimes the most shocking villain is the person you thought was protecting you all along. Zara smiled softly to herself. She had lost a man, survived betrayal, uncovered lies, and reclaimed her family's honor. And for the first time in a long time, she was free. Because the truth, when finally seen, always has power over those who tried to hide it. And that was the day Zara learned. Being chosen by the wrong person isn't a loss. Being deceived by the people you love can teach you strength. And being betrayed can show you who you truly are.